Okay, so we have UFC Fight Night Vegas 13, I think, this weekend, and the card itself is a pretty decent card. You have fights like Andrei Arlovsky, Tanner Boser in the co-main event. That's a fun fight. You have Ian Heinisch on the card, Brendan Allen, Claudia Gadeja on the card, Trevin Giles. That's another fun fight. Bevon Lewis, that's a big one. Max Griffin, Darren Elkins, The Damage is on this card. So we have a lot of fun fights. We're only going to predict and break down the main event. And that is Thiago Santos after, I think, 580 days off, a year and a half pretty much, close to 2 years off, taking on Glover Teixeira, who just doesn't seem to have a shelf life. Glover just continues to come back and do well. He's on a 4-fight winning streak. So this is a very interesting fight at light heavyweight, especially given the fact that we have two guys in there that we don't know what's happening with the title right now. It could be Izzy and Jan very, very soon, and these two guys could definitely be in line to fight the winner of that fight. I mean, listen, Dominic Reyes just had his shot. Other people at 205, there's interesting matchups, but Thiago Santos was right there had he not gotten hurt as a number 1/number 2 fighter in the world at 205 after his performance against John Jones. So you have these two guys, and you look on the other side, and Glover Teixeira is in his, I think, mid-40s now, and he's won 4 straight fights, and he brutalized Anthony Smith. Brutalized him. And we were big fans, and we still are, but I was really big on watching Anthony Smith grow through the 205 ranks and his story and him having damn near 50 fights and finally, putting it all together and making that run at light heavyweight. And then he gets the fight with John, and he didn't do the greatest, but he didn't, look terrible or completely outclassed. And so you thought going into the Glover Teixeira fight, okay, Glover's gonna. This is the point where we all say, okay, Glover's over the hill. We thought it would be where he got hit with 3 massive uppercuts against Alexander Gustafsson, but this was the fight. I was like, okay, Anthony Smith's gonna do his thing, and finally put Glover away, and that was not the case. Glover Teixeira brutalized Anthony Smith to the point where he was busting his teeth out. I don't actually know if that actually happened, but it looked like that happened. But he was all over him. I think ended up they had to either throw in the towel for Anthony or it was just waved off by the referee. It was not good to watch. Glover was just beating this man senseless. And guys, don't forget, Thiago Santos has a win over the champion right now. He has a win over Jan Blachowicz. A step back right hand put Jan Blachowicz face first on the floor in their fight. And that was one of Thiago's first fights at 205. He came up and stopped Jan Blachowicz as he was moving forward. We know Polish power. He's the one usually putting guys away. And Thiago stepped back and dropped a hammer on him. Dropped Mjolnir, that hammer on his chest. He pulled it off, said bang, and dropped the champion. So this is an interesting fight, man. Listen, Thiago Santos, we're going to see how. I mean, the man had torn ACLs and MCLs in both knees. And so for him to take such a long time off, obviously he's trying to make sure that he's fully healed. And we're going to see. We're going to see tomorrow night how healed both those knees are. He's very explosive. And it translates to 205. He was at 185 for a long time, and the weight cut, obviously him being a bigger guy, was getting to him. So at 205, he just lets it go, and he's quick, fast, and in a hurry. He's shown he can be there for 5 rounds in your face, forward pressure. So that's going to be interesting. I think another thing that we do this with Glover all the time is we underestimate him, 1, because of his age, 2, because we don't give him the credit for being a great grappler like he is. He is a phenomenal grappler. I mean, you shave 10 years off Glover Teixeira, he and him and John Jones go at it. That's not a guaranteed win for John with a prime Glover Teixeira. He was one of the best in the world in his early 30s. So, yes, he's gotten a little slower, he's gotten a little older, but that grappling is something that he doesn't utilize it as much, or he hadn't. And in his last 4 wins, he started to little by little implement that in a more easy balance between the striking and the grappling. Yes, he's got heavy hands. And when he sits down on a punch, you're going to feel it, right? And usually the last thing to go with the heavier weight classes, they'll lose their speed, their reaction time. Obviously, their fight IQ, as the game evolves, sometimes isn't quite where it needs to be with the newer kids coming up. But their power stays, and it stays for a very long time. I mean, you're talking about George Foreman, who came back in his late 40s, was knocking people dead as a heavyweight boxer. So power will stay, and Glover has that in droves. And just like we talked about, Glover Teixeira on a 4-fight winning streak takes down Anthony Smith, brutal fashion. Nikita Krylov, Kutalaba. I mean, these are not terrible guys, and he's making his way through. And the guys he's lost to, you look at it, Corey Anderson, obviously with Bellator now, but a big-time guy. Gustafsson, one of the best at 205. Rumble. I mean, the uppercut that Rumble hit with him would have knocked out a small ox. I mean, let's be honest. So it's and speaking of, where the hell's Rumble, man? I want to see Rumble again. I need Anthony Rumble Johnson back at light heavyweight or heavyweight. I don't care. Get him back. But anyway, I think this fight comes down to, listen, we've seen Thiago go 5 rounds. We saw him go 5 rounds with John. The cardio issue, I don't think is going to be a factor for Thiago. A Glover that's a little older, yes, this is a 5-round fight. Will he be able to match the speed and the pace of a Thiago Santos that comes forward? Thiago was in John Jones' face the entire 5 rounds. No relief from the pressure. He was just right there in John's face. Heavy Muay Thai, nasty kicks, big-time punches up the middle, heavy hands across, too, the overhands. So you're going to, on 2 torn ACLs, like, how does that man even stand up, let alone come forward and throw it at John Jones, one of the deadliest men ever? So Glover Teixeira, obviously got to be ready for that. I'm very interested to see if Glover decides he wants to grapple, how Thiago handles that, because I don't think that Thiago Santos, yes, at 205, he's a big, strong guy, but Glover Teixeira, when he gets those paws on you, man, you're going to the floor. So it's very interesting. I want to see Thiago, how he moves after 2 ACL surgeries. I don't know how that's going to work, but I hope the best for the guy, man. Listen, 580 days off. Hopefully he comes back and has a good showing. And you know what? I'm going with the young guy, well, the younger guy, I guess. You know what? I'm going with Thiago Santos, man. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that over 5 rounds, Thiago, explosive, his ability to fight going backward, which is interesting to me, especially against Glover, who's going to stand there. Glover will stand there and trade with you. You've seen he gets in firefights and wars. He did it against Gustafsson. He will take a couple shots to get his off. He will do that. But Thiago, I think, clips him with something, puts him down, and I think Thiago Santos wins this fight. We'll say in the 3rd round by TKO. The middle of the 3rd round, TKO, Thiago Santos. And maybe, listen, after this whole Israel Adesanya, Jan Blachowicz thing gets sorted out, if they do make that fight, and if Jan Blachowicz wins that fight, you're looking at a rematch with a guy in Thiago Santos that slept the champ. Interesting fight.